Hello, I'm not entirely sure I agree with Wes Streeting's plan to introduce league tables ranking NHS hospitals based on performance, with repercussions for senior managers failing to improve patient care, because again, it's not going to be transparent. I think it's quite right to target senior management and to get them to actually perform and justify the huge amount of money that they are paid, but I think the better approach is to get rid of them. I'm sure this is going to spark significant debate within the healthcare sector, and while intended to drive accountability and incentivize excellence, the incentive, lots of incentives here, organised by Wes Streeting, will see underperforming hospitals publicly named and shamed. Well, then why will anybody want to use them? Persistently failing managers could face dismissal and loss of pay rises, while top-performing trusts may enjoy increased financial autonomy and rewards. I imagine that underperforming hospitals will then attract significantly more legal action, because it rather justifies it. At the moment, you think about legal action. You've got the letter, you've got the paperwork in front of you, which tells you that the hospital has performed badly, and you think, well, am I the only person who thinks this? Of course, if there's a league table and you know that this hospital has a reputation for acting badly, then you're more likely to be incentivized to take that action. The policy draws inspiration from measures introduced during Alan Milburn's tenure and parallels efforts by Steve Barclay targeting low appointment GP practices. Critics like Thea Stein of the Nuffield Trust and NHS Confederation's Matthew Taylor say that public accountability mechanisms risk unintended consequences like exacerbating recruitment challenges and oversimplifying complex issues. Concerns highlight that the structural, historical and systemic drivers of NHS inefficiency might not be addressed by naming and shaming alone. I entirely agree. I still think that the way to seriously redress the balance of NHS performance is to get rid of the NHS trusts, to get rid of a lot of the bureaucracy that is clogging up the system. I know so many of these bureaucrats, and I look at them and I just think, I wouldn't give you a job. Why have you got a job? Why are you working in this place, and why is this place not working as a consequence? And having observed and knowing some of these people, and having been on the receiving end of appalling hospital treatment, and not the treatment by the surgeons, by the nurses, the treatment by the bureaucrats that misgendered me, that produced fake and completely conflicting documentation when I asked for a copy. All of this tells me that the bureaucracy running our NHS is self-serving and incapacitated, and it needs to be stripped. Added to which, my observations from Justice for Doctors and the ferocity with which the NHS pursues anybody who questions it, the amount of money that is set aside to challenge whistleblowers, and despite the fact that whistleblowing is written into the contract of doctors, nurses, consultants, it's actually part of their duty to call out problems when they notice them. And yet, when they are called out, the spite of the NHS bureaucracy is unending, to the point that these people are left wondering if they are sane. Actually, once you've been in that fire line for long enough, you are no longer sane. I know people who have been reduced to quivering wrecks, senior consultants, senior nurses, senior individuals in the NHS reduced to blabbering wrecks because of the legal, the bureaucratic, and the political threats that have been issued against them simply for doing their job. The NHS chief, Amanda Pritchard, has noted that while accountability is welcome, support and resources are paramount to genuine improvement. And the discussion on the league table's efficiency underscores a broader debate about balancing transparency, motivation, and practical reform in public healthcare. But I think this is an interesting starting point. This is the first time, I think, in the concerns raised by politicians about the NHS, that concerns have been raised about the bureaucrats managing it. The first time. I hope it's not the last. If this is what Wes Streeting is proposing, and if this is the beginning of his proposals, I'd like to see more of the same.